guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Nastasia, and today I am talking all about friendships, specifically the toxic ones, the ones you probably should have cut out of your life a long time ago. And I want to preface this by saying that I actually have, like, the best friends of my life right now. God has really blessed me the past couple seasons with incredible friends that I can genuinely say every single friend I have in my life has such a vital role in my life right now, and I have nobody in my life that I'm as a good friend that I'm nah. I'm literally I need all of them, so I am so blessed right now. But I have been in the position so many times before that I should have left friendships way earlier than I did. I really should have just moved away from that friendship in my life because it was toxic or it was leading me down a path that wasn't good for my mental health. So that's what we're talking about today. But before I get into it, if you end up liking this video, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss out on a video every time I post. Okay. So, people don't talk about toxic friendships enough. I feel like everybody really talks about toxic relationships, if you have a boyfriend that's abusive, or just isn't good for you and you deserve better and all the things, and wow, you can do so much better. And I kind of touched on this a little bit in my You Need to Raise Your Standards video. I will put that right here, where I talk about raising your standards in relationships, friendships, and career-wise. I love that video, but this one is specifically just talking about toxic friendships. I have been in positions in my life where I was afraid to move away from friendships, distance myself, because I had been friends with certain people for so long, or we had so many memories that I felt I can't screw it up now, I'll just keep dealing with it. And for a while, dealing with it, being treated like crap in many ways, but just being okay, but I can't stand up for myself, I can't say something, I can't rock the boat, this is what a friend does, a friend just puts up with it, which isn't true and is a huge misconception, which I'm also going to address. But I've been there, and it actually, God really, I think, allowed certain situations in my life like that to happen to show me, to teach me how to stand up for myself in a friendship as well, and to know when something is helping me and edifying me and pushing me towards Christ, and when something is not, and when to, walk away. So the first thing I want to say is you are not a bad person or a bad friend for walking away from something that has a negative influence on your life. Whether it has a negative influence on your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, of course, and also your spiritual health. All of those are very valid healths that should not be messed with as a friend. The purpose of friendship, the biblical purpose of friendship, is to push us towards God and to have community, because it's not good for man to be alone. We are supposed to have people and community, and whether you are ever in a relationship, getting married to anybody or not, no matter what, you should have people in your life. You should have friends. And so, it is very biblical for you to have friends, but it's also, it's not God's intention for you to have friends that treat you like crap. It's not God's intention to have, people in your life that are awful to you. So I'm not saying that anytime anybody in your life messes up, you should cut them out. Not at all. Have grace, have mercy, have love for people. But if it gets to the point that you can tell it's affecting your mental health, maybe have a conversation. So here's some telltale signs that I'm going to give you, that if you have friends doing any of these things, or all of these things, maybe you should consider distancing yourself from them for a bit or forever. And if they put down your relationship with Jesus, or your effort to have a relationship with him, if they put down the idea of you going to church, if they put down the idea of you praying, if they make fun of you, if they do any of that, the first thing I would suggest is asking them if they want to come with you. But if they're making fun of you, they probably don't want that, but that doesn't mean you don't stop trying. But if it's to the point that you feel like you have to cover up your relationship with Jesus around them, if you feel like, I don't want to bring this up because they're just going to make me feel bad about it, they're just going to make fun of me, they're just going to, first of all, that has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them and their insecurities and the devil preying on those insecurities. So I think you should pray for them. I think you should try to engage them in Jesus, in the idea of church and just sermons and everything, and try to include them even when they're being awful to you. But there comes a point that if that continues, that is not an edifying friendship for the Lord at all. And I'm not saying you have to be like, well, since you're not a Christian, you're not my friend. Like, no. But if somebody's trying to pull you down away from Christ, you should put some distance there. You should maybe be careful with what you trust them with. And you can still pray for them. You can still, this doesn't mean you have to cut them out of your life completely. You can still be acquaintances, but maybe not best friend material. Because if they're going to just discourage you the whole time, not a good idea. Second is if they put down your dreams and your goals. If they are always saying like, well, this is dumb. Like, I've had a friend in the past who I had to cut out of my life because this person, every time I was proud of something, did something, wanted to do something, it was always something negative out of their mouth. It was always something like, well, that's dumb, or that's a stupid idea. This was a long time ago, but just like, wow, you're so dumb. Like, you're so, like, wow, way to go. You're not going to get anybody that way. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. And it was just so disheartening because I already was struggling with anxiety and kind of like self-worth at that point anyway. And I think we always do a little bit, but it was so rough. And I just put up with it thinking like, oh, well, that's what friends do. No, that's not what friends do at all. Like, you support each other's dreams and your goals, and you're there next to each other, and even if they don't fully understand, they're like, I don't have an interest in that, but good for you. I'll be next to you, cheering you on. Like, it reminds me of like my friends who like run like triathlons or something. Like, I don't think I have any friends who run triathlons. If I did, if any of my friends or I were athletic, which we're not, but if any of them did, I'd be like, you know what, that's really cool. I'm gonna be on the side cheering you on and not running, but I'll be there and screaming for you. Like, that's what your friends should be. They don't have to have the exact same goals or interests as you, but they have to, be there supporting you. Okay, number 3, the drama queen. Okay. As enticing as it might be, I think for most girls, drama and gossip can be very common and very enticing, because it's like, it can cause really long conversations. You feel like you get closer to somebody by talking about somebody else, which is awful, and really not a good foundation for a relationship. So I've had times in my life where, I've had times in my life where I knew certain friends of mine, they were gossiping all the time, like a couple friends in my mind specifically, and they would talk about people freaking always, and I decided to make a decision because I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel good about doing that, and so I just decided to stop, and when they were gossiping, I didn't say anything. I just sat there. I just sat there in silence, and then by the end of it, they looked at me and they're like, wow, you make us feel so bad about ourselves because you're not saying anything. And I was just kind of like, and so, but it got to the point where it's like, if you are friends with people who just talk about other people, consider the fact that, do you really think they're making an exception for you? They're not. They're talking about you too. And you just might not know about it. Even if they would say, oh, I'd never say that about you, I would never, blah, 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 just about them. No, like, it's an addiction for them, and whether they want it or not, they will talk about you. Like, they will. They'll make that choice. So you should be careful of that. You should not trust that person. You should not trust that person with your own information or with other people's information. Be a good influence and, be loving, and pray for them, but don't trust them. Do not trust them. Not a good person to trust with your deepest, darkest secrets or something that you want like advice about, because here's the thing, if you ask them for advice, they're going to give you advice, and then they're going to go tell somebody what you asked them advice for. even if you didn't want them to. Do not be friends with the gossip. Like, do not get close with the gossip. You can pray for them, you can be sweet to them and kind to them and loving to them, but they're not somebody who's going to push you towards God, because gossip is a sin. So again, I'm not saying like everybody has sin. I'm not saying like, okay, you talked about somebody, I can never communicate with you again because you are not perfect. But I'm just saying, like, don't trust them at all. Next, I don't know what number I'm on. 4, 5, 3, 4, I don't know what we're on. Somebody that is disrespectful to other people, like really disrespectful. Because here's the thing, you're going to be associated with that person whether you like it or not. If you're really close with somebody, I'm not talking just like you go to lunch with somebody and they're not like the greatest person, but like you feel like you should kind of build a relationship with them and be a good influence on them, but not to get too close. That's totally different. Like, accountability is totally different. I'm talking like your close-knit circle of friends that know everything about you. You shouldn't be friends with somebody who's mean, disrespectful, who is just like genuinely unkind. People associate that with you, and like the more time you spend with that person is the more you're going to turn into that person. That's how it works. Like, the people you spend time with, you take on their qualities. Which leads me to my next point, number 5 or 6 or 4, whatever we're on. Like I said before, you will take on the attributes and the qualities of those you spend time around. So if you're spending time with somebody and you don't like how they're acting, imagine how it would feel if you acted like that. Like, do you want to give off that same impression, those same qualities? Yes, you can resist it, but why would you even put yourself in the position of being with really unkind, disrespectful people and having those as your closest friends, knowing that you would have to fight the whole time to not take on those qualities? It's very easy to fall in temptation of being unkind or being like not loving somebody, and just going with what is easy rather than what is right. It's so easy to do that anyway, so if all your best friends are doing that, why would you want to put yourself in that position? Because you will turn into that. Like, you will slowly turn into whatever their qualities are. You know, they say, you know, people say like avoiding the wrong crowd for a reason, like, oh, they were just in the wrong crowd, because that means they took on those qualities. Like, their actions showed that they were like that wrong crowd then. They ended up like that. So those are a few things. So here's my thing. How do you distance yourself in a loving way from people like that? It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be something where you curse them out by any means. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. You can just start doing more things, either by yourself or with other people. You know, next time they ask to hang out and you know it's just going to be a big session of gossip, find something else to do. Say, you know, I'm sorry, I actually can't, but thank you so much for thinking of me, but I can't actually. Then even if you can't find somebody else to hang out with, like, go do something on your own. You are a capable human being. You can go on a walk, you can go to the gym, you can paint your nails, you can take a bath, you can read your Bible, you can do whatever the heck you want. You can do something else that's more productive than gossip. So I think that's, you know, kind of the first step. And then if it gets to the point where they start recognizing and being like, hey, what's going on? Like, you don't hang out with me anymore. You can have that conversation, you know? Like, you have every right as a person, as a friend, to say, you know, I'm going to be honest, like, I feel like every time we're together, it just ends up being a lot of gossip, and I don't want to partake in that. I don't want to do that anymore, and it'll go one of two ways. Either they will probably, this is a more likely thing, they will probably get really, really defensive, get really upset at you, and then go talk about you to someone else. So that just proves your point. That'll probably happen. But there is a rare chance that they will actually be like, okay, well then let's just not do that. And then you've set the standard that if they start doing that, they know you're not going to. And then they really do feel like, I can't do that around her. And then, you know, they might choose to distance themselves from you too because they don't want to give up doing that. Or they might actually change, which would be great. But either way, distance is not a bad thing in, like, seeing where that ends up going. If somebody is genuinely toxic in your life, if they are exposing you to really bad things, exposing you to really bad people, if it's a situation where you genuinely have to take yourself out of it, then that is okay, and I want you to know that's okay. You are not a bad person for taking yourself out of a dangerous or potentially dangerous situation for your mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual health. If that is the case, do it as quietly and quickly as possible, in my opinion. Don't make a huge deal out of it. Don't make a big dramatic thing about it. If you feel the need to say, like, talk to them about it and be like, I can't continue this friendship anymore, then by all means, do that. I think that's a really respectful approach if you can do that. If it's a situation where you really feel threatened or you feel like it's so toxic that you can't do that with your mental or physical or spiritual health on, like, at risk, then don't do it. Just cut it. Something else you can do is, if you do have to, like, really talk to somebody about it and you're scared, get a family member, a trusted friend, somebody who just is trusted to you, to be with you while that happens, because there's a very small chance that that person will come at you in person, either verbally or physically or whatever it is, if somebody else is there too, because they don't want to put down that facade that they're crazy or anything like that. So that's something to note as well. But it is not, you deserve friends who are good to you, who are not perfect, but love you and will genuinely be there for you and are trusted. And if something's wrong, that if you talk to them, they actually will understand and they will try to change or be there for you or whatever it is. And more importantly than anything else, friends that will push you towards God, that you will push each other towards God. You are hearing this and you've had really bad friends and you're like, I genuinely don't know how that's possible. I promise it is. I promise it is. I probably have, and I'm somebody who I've only really had like maybe 1 or 2 close friends at a time in my life, and I can genuinely say I have like 6 or 7 really solid, like, best friends in my life right now. It's real. It's so real, and sometimes you really have to stand up for yourself and take a risk and say, you know what, I deserve better friends that will push me towards God. And yeah, no, it'll happen, I promise. And it's the best thing in the world. I literally don't know what I would do without my friends. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below of what you think, and if you've ever had to, like, cut out or distance yourself from certain friends in your life that are just really steering you down the wrong path. But yeah, I will see you guys next time, and I love you so much.